2017 Horry County Solid Waste Authority regular meeting. We're calling this to order. The invocation will be by Pam Creech and the Pledge of Allegiance by Lance Thompson. If we'll bow your heads. Heavenly Father, as we gather for this meeting today, may we be guided by your wisdom, your love, and the presence of your Spirit. Your wisdom teaches us what is truly important and gives us the courage to do the right thing, and we thank you for your many blessings. Amen.
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 Stand for pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay. We need an approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The agenda's been approved. We need to approve the minutes of June 23rd, 2017, our regular meeting.
I make a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The minutes have been approved. We also need to approve the minutes of June 23rd, 2017 at our annual meeting.
I make a motion.
Second.
Make a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Those minutes of that meeting has been approved. We have no public input, so we're going to start with the departmental reports and updates, recycling and corporate affairs.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My report begins on page 17. Just have three items I just want to give an update on. The first being just an update on our awards banquet that was held here on July 13th. First, let me thank each of you who attended. We do appreciate you taking the time to come out and spend time not just with us, but with the teachers who we work so closely with. I think overall, everything went well, very good event, very well attended. Everybody seemed to have had a good time and good food. That's always good too.
So who comes up with the theme for the banquets? Because that's always very creative and innovative, and
I
I
will
could just about guess, but
I will say it's a group effort.
Okay.
And Kendra led this year, so she led the charge on this year's theme. They're already working on next year's theme. So we're good at planning, put it that way. But
that's
yeah,
a great event. Y'all do a great job, and I think it's nice to recognize the efforts of the school teachers and the organizations.
thank you.
I agree, and Kendra is, all of you are an inspiration, but with their attitude and enjoyment, their obvious enjoyment and fun, I think that really, everyone enjoys that and comments on that every year. So I think y'all just did a wonderful job.
Thank you. I'll be sure to pass that on to the other ladies.
That caterer, did I understand it, he's right here at Red Hill?
Yes, sir. The caterer was CJ's Countryside Cafe, and they're located right on Highway 905, right at the crossroads of Red Bluff Crossroads.
Red Bluff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not
They,
Red Hill, but
they've done several meals here for us, for our meetings and things, and
oh, very good.
I will say Cecil heads up the food, so y'all can thank her for the menu.
Thank you, Miss Terry. Yes.
And we do make mention that we take prices. We get
Yes, sir.
prices from different people.
Yes, sir.
On it.
Yeah.
We just don't pick someone.
Oh, no. We send out requests for bids on food every year, and we've been really fortunate that our low bidder each time has prepared a great meal. So we have no complaints. But yeah, we had 3 quotes this year, and we selected the low bidder. Worked out really well.
Very good.
You had about 60 attendees.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Right about 60.
It's been growing every year, hasn't it?
Yeah, it fluctuates. You know, sometimes we try to schedule it based on what the teachers have gone on. That's why we moved it into July as opposed to August, because they're getting ready to go back to school. So we try to work with their calendars as best we can to make sure that we can get as many here as possible.
Well, they're real excited about it. I'm
Oh, yeah.
telling you, I mean they are.
Absolutely.
And that's a regular, open restaurant, I mean, they stay open?
Yes, sir. They're open. I think the only day they're closed is Monday and Sunday.
Well, Pam, that's where I want you to take me next time.
We'll see about that, Mr. Gray.
The next update I want to give you is on the unincorporated collection system quarterly meetings that we have with our recycling center staff. We held these meetings last week. 71 of our 72 staff members were able to attend the meeting. And at these meetings, we go over a variety of items. Our meetings last about 2, sometimes 2.5 hours, so we go over a lot of material. Daily operational items, customer service is always on the agenda. And we also at that time name our recycling center of the quarter. And pictured there is Mr. Laverne Morgan and Mr. James Isom of the Aina Recycling Center. They're doing a great job. While I'm talking about recycling centers, just a real brief update on the McDowell Shortcut Recycling Center project. We just did some initial paving yesterday. We're looking to finish up paving next week. We're going to start taking equipment onto the site this week. We're still shooting for August. We have a couple of things that are right now out of our control as far as getting certain certifications and things that we need from some utilities. But we're still on track to go into that new center in August. Won't be August 1. We still have to demo the site. Everything in the new site will probably be ready on August 1, but we can't move in until we get that old site demoed and the road built. So we'll keep you updated. The way we're moving, it will probably be open before our next board meeting, but I will keep you updated via email or by phone.
Let me say too, we've kind of decided today what we want to do with the old office building that's down there. We think that it will cost as much to move it as it's worth. So what we would like to do, and we didn't get it on the agenda, we are going to put it on eGov and let people bid on the building, and they got to move it.
Yes, sir.
Themselves.
They'll have to move it. Yes, sir.
But we will bring that, the price back to you for approval because of time, and we think we'd be better to sell it like that than try to move it here, to save it, to put it someplace else. And there's a new building going to the new site.
Yeah, the new building's there now. It's
Yeah.
in spot, so we're excited about that.
Of course, and if we sell it, it'll go back into that fund. So I think that's kind of the best thing to do with that building.
Yes, sir.
And what building is this?
It's the office building at the recycling center on McDowell Shortcut.
Okay.
It's just kind of a 2-room deal with a porch on it, and just like the ones over here.
Okay.
Last update I want to give you is just on our Caught Green-Handed program. I went out to the Recycle Road location this past month in June, and it wasn't raining when I left here, but it was raining when I got there. It's okay. It's called Murphy's Law. I'm getting used to it. I met Miss Becky Newby there, and it was raining. It wasn't drizzling. It was raining, and I went out and said, "I know it's raining, but you're recycling. We appreciate it. Do you mind?" And she said, "Oh no, I don't mind at all." So and she didn't have an umbrella. We gave her an umbrella since we had her standing out in the rain. So she was very gracious, an avid user of the Recycle Road location. That's all I have, unless you have some questions. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to commend you on the annual environmental awards banquet.
You need to speak into your mic.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just want to commend you on the environmental awards banquet. You and the staff did a wonderful job on that.
Thank you. We appreciate that. I'll be sure to share it with everyone. Thank you.
Okay, operations and planning.
Madam Chairman, I just wanted to make an apology for my late arrival.
Yeah, I can
Well-
see you slip in. Where,
We, we
Under
were,
the floorboards.
we worried about you and we called your house and we know this is not normal for you and we waited about 10 minutes and went on, but thank you. Mr. Helly?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, we got some good updates this evening for you. Mine begins on page 23. First of all, our driver of the month for month of June was Robert Frigo from Waste Industries. We've got his picture and letter in your board packet in there. And we also included this month all of the 2017 driver of the month nominees. And we also post that up there at the Scale House. So everybody can kind of see where they stood all through the year there. So we had that. Our recycler of the quarter for April through June was one of our own, Steve McGill. He's been kind of ramrodding the C&D recycling since probably about 2013. And he has been probably one of the most, if not the most influential person to get us to that 50,000 tons that we talked about last month. And he's really good about the rate, getting it up to 68, 69% recycle rate for those 5 years. Steve's done a heck of a job. And like all of us, we all got a little bit of quirks about us and all that. Steve's tough. He wants productivity and pushes. Sometimes he pushes a little hard, but at the end of the day, the job gets done. And he gets a lot out of the folks over there, so he does a good job and was well deserving. We also did all 4 nominees for the 2017 Recycler of the Quarter in there, so you could see those, and we post those out there also. So we try to do that at the end of the fiscal year, let everybody see and kind of go back who was the nominees. Our landfill gas RFP, we've got that on our website now. Everything kind of came out in between our last board meeting and this board meeting. We did have our mandatory pre-bid conference last week. We had 4 contractors come in. As you can see in my report, our landfill gas engineer said this more than likely is like the 2nd largest expansion in the U.S. this year. So there's only so many people that can qualify to do the type of work and as much as we want done out there. You didn't have just any kind of little ABC company come in here and bid on it. So we've got the best, we think, that have come to the pre-bid. We took them out for a tour out there. Ms. Todd did on that, showed them the lay of the land. Bids will be turned in August 8th. They'll have 120 days to do substantial, 150 to do final completion. So hopefully notice to proceed will be somewhere around September 1st. And then they'll have it done by the end of the year. So we're real excited about that project. Hopefully get our gas system in really excellent shape out there.
Tell them how many wells, Bill.
It'll be 30 new wells and 12 re-drills. So we're gonna have a lot going on. And I know Stephanie's notified a lot of the little contractors around here that sell pipe and stuff like that, the local folks. Try to get in touch with the landfill gas engineer to get their name out there. Hopefully they can sell some of their goods to the contractors that come in. So we're really excited about that expansion right there. Let's see, landfill cameras. Hadn't got to that one quite yet, but landfill cameras, talk about those. We started putting those in on the C&D and the solid waste way back in 2013. And it was kind of something we were just experimenting with, just to kind of see when we weren't here in the evenings and that kind of thing, maybe what was going on, and you kind of watch it during the day. And it's really grown since we've done it. We started with 2, and we've got like 30 cameras now. Unfortunately, we had 6 get hit by lightning last night. So we just need antennas put up, nothing real big. But in my board report, I said a picture's worth 1,000 words, but for us, a picture's worth thousands of dollars. Just a few examples that we've had, I wanted to share with you. We had a customer come up, a roll-off customer, and had the bumper sticking almost straight out when he came in. He got up to the working face on solid waste and said our operator tore the bumper or hit his bumper on his truck. Chris, he was in here a minute ago. Chris, the operator, was just adamant that he didn't hit the thing. Went back and looked at the camera on the scale house when the driver came in, and sure enough, the bumper was already out. So Chris said, we need to call your supervisor over here and let him see this. So I know that kind of had to be embarrassing for the driver. We've had some things where we've caught people out on, especially in the yard waste division, dumping C&D, real mixed load. We've been able to find them. Lastly, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, we had a dump trailer come in, and he raised his load up, and the truck fell over. And, I mean, it pretty much, if nothing else, it almost probably totaled the cab. Quite an experience for even the office folks in here, and they went through some stuff, and us out on the landfill. They were not happy. Everything was pointing a finger at us. Chris went back. We had 2 cameras facing C&D, and what the driver said wasn't necessarily the case. And this probably would have been $75,000, $100,000 claim. And even though we had insurance, it still would have been up there. We were able to go back, capture the video, put it on a jump drive, and Ms. Powell sent it to the insurance company. And that was the deciding factor, where the driver said he only raised his bid up about halfway. He actually had raised it on the camera all the way, and looked like either the cylinder gave or a hose broke or something, and he jerked it, and that made the trailer go over. But they sure wanted to point a finger at us, and you know, it sounded like a bunch of sailors out there during that whole investigation. They were going at us, but thank goodness we had the cameras, and didn't cost us anything, and the insurance company denied the claim. So that one right there is overpaid for the cameras out there. And lastly, I want to acknowledge, and I wanted the board to know, Chris stepped out. We had a fire July 13th. It started early in the evening, and when Rodney's guys came in about 3 in the morning, it was blazing pretty good. You can see it. That's Chris right here. They came in and called Wayne Martin, and Wayne got on the phone and started calling folks. We had 6 people. We had Wayne Martin, Chris Calhoun, Steve McGill, John Doyle, Lyle Strickland, and Mike Small all came in here. And they worked like I don't know what, and they got that fire out. We had no damage to any equipment. No personnel was injured. And really, we only had like a 30-minute delay at 6 that morning for the C&D trucks to get on the hill out there. That's probably the biggest one since I've been here, fire. And I just wanted the board to know what these men did to get that, at the hard work they put in. And they need to be congratulated and acknowledged for the great job that they did out there, and we all appreciate what they did that morning without anything happening.
Did you find out what caused it?
Looked like we think maybe the last customer that came in on C&D maybe have thrown a cigarette out. When he got out, we checked the cameras, and we didn't have any trespassers or anything like that. So it's hard to really say, but it started puffing a little bit. But that one took off. And but they got it out with bulldozers and compactors and dirt, off-road trucks. And it took them about 4 hours before we finally got everything extinguished out there. But, heck of a job those men did.
Great job.
Thank
I've
you.
been meaning to ask you, Bill or Danny, has the county got an ordinance against people dumping dirt or C&D on your property without your knowledge or permission?
Well, I think they'd be trespassing and dumping, and yeah, I would call the county police.
But they wouldn't know any more than I do about who's doing it, but,
Well, sometimes they can go through it and determine what it is and maybe where it came from.
thank you.
You did out at W Road, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
People tend to do that and think they're not gonna get called, and sometimes they'll leave paperwork or something, or someone will see them, and sometimes the police can find that out. And work on it.
Thank you.
Bill, I did hear about the fire. You guys did a great job in coming in and doing that. You went above and beyond, and those things are tough and they're dangerous, and we really don't like to have those, but we have those, and we do the best we can, and that's all we can do. But you guys did a great job, and I appreciate that. And I would like to say, especially with this landfill expansion, the gas and the things they're gonna be drilling in and working in, if there's anything that any of you out there can think of and let the board know that we can do to make this safer during this period of time, I don't know if we need to, especially during this period of time, people shouldn't be out there smoking and throwing cigarettes anyway, if you're putting down 3 new gas wells and 12 new refills. So if there's anything you would like to do about the smoking, or if there's anything you feel that your people need to make it safer for them, or equipment that we can have that would put this out better or quicker, please do let us know as soon as you would find that out. And if there are any other locations that you would need cameras that you feel would be beneficial to us when you do your budget, or when you talk with Mr. Knight or whatever, because you're right, those things have really helped us quite a bit. And if we need some in other places, we need to think about that and look at that. So thank you very much.
I sure appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, Finance and Administration.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Financial reports begin on page 39, and I'm going to begin, of course, on page 40 with the summary sheet. What you've got here is, of course, not our final end-of-the-year reports. We do have a few last-minute invoices and stuff we're still trying to get in for the end of the year. Of course, we'll still have our last-minute end-of-the-year adjustments and things to make. Once you get our audit, that will be our final end-of-the-year reports. So just kind of keep that in mind as far as the financial figures. Tonnage figures, yes, those are our final tonnage figures for the end of the year. So with that being said, as you can see in the middle of the page, but being at 100% of budget, as you can see with our tipping fees, we did exceed budget by 108.4% of budget. Mixed construction, 166.99% of budget, and yard waste, 164.95% of budget. So we well exceeded on those. Even without the storm, we would still have well exceeded those. So we've had a good year there, for sure. Down below, as you can see, the recyclable sales, they're at 128.26% of budget. So again, staying quite ahead of budget, which is great. Down at the bottom, you can see the C&D processing facility. Year-to-date, the revenue is $366,720.06. Their expenses being $655,458.84. So they have expenses over revenue for year-to-date, currently at $288,738.78. But when you look at the days of landfill airspace they've saved a little over 73 days of landfill airspace. So definitely a worthwhile venture over there at the C&D processing facility for sure. And then with the C&D material that we've actually taken out of the county, year-to-date, a little over 13 days of landfill airspace. The materials recycling facility, and with the collection and hauling program, year-to-date, their revenue is $6,022,621.12, with the expenses being $6,031,223.45. Expenses were slightly over revenue, $8,602.33. But still, that's amazing. Amazing that the MRF alone can help cover the collection and hauling's expenses. Remember, the collection and hauling program feeds that MRF, but they also only collect a small amount of revenue from the collection program itself, in that the rental of the containers is their main revenue source, other than them feeding the MRF. But still, if you take a look, they also saved 70.99 days of landfill airspace with with those programs. So again, like I said, which is what we're trying to do. On page,
Excuse me, Jan.
yes, sir.
What, rough numbers, don't we have 800 and some odd green boxes out for that cardboard, and we generally charge about $30 a month.
Yes, sir, right around there.
So that would be, how many dollars is that?
We're generating about, I think it's around $60,000-$70,000 a quarter. So you're talking about, around $240,000.
That's what I was thinking. So that's $250,000 a year revenue that's really showing elsewhere.
Well, it's shown in this revenue figure down here, yes, sir.
Okay.
It is included in that revenue figure, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Over on page 42, we'll take a look at the income statement. Again, like I said, our revenue figures are pretty concrete. Our expenses, like I said, you may still see a little bit of fluctuation there. However, you can see our revenue total is 110.27% of budget, and our expenses are 94.29% of budget. For the month, revenue over expenses of $156,393.87. And our year-to-date revenue over expenses of $3,824,810.20. Like I said, we did have a great year. Remember, we did not set aside any money this year for future landfill construction. So remember that in next year's figures, like I said, you'll definitely probably see, some changes there because of the fact that we will be setting that money aside to get that caught up. I meant to kind of point that out to you on page 40. You can see currently that our total designated foreclosure and post-closure, we're at $17,918,789, and our liability is $25,694,403. So we're definitely still in a strong deficit where we need to get our designated fund up to meet our liability. So that's what we're going to be working on with that tipping fee increase for next year. But like I said, I do want to commend staff, of course, on maintaining their expenses, keeping them below budget. They've done a great job this year with a lot of things with the storm, with the Charleston. They've done an outstanding job to continue to maintain those expenses and watch them very closely. On page 50, which is the summary sheet for the C&D recycling facility, just like to point out, I know Mr. Gray likes to keep up with how many vehicles are actually going over to the C&D processing facility versus up on the hill. And it's continued to maintain a little bit higher this month in that 10% went over to the C&D recycling facility and 90% went up on the hill. So like I said, that continues to stay about consistent each month, but that was up just a little bit this month. They try to...
Somehow or another, we could get more trucks going through the recycle, but I know some of them just want to get in here and get out.
Well, and they do, and they're very limited over there, of course, at the C&D recycling facility because they've got a pad over there, and they can't go outside the boundaries of that pad, so they can only take so many trucks at a time. So in order to be able to probably take more, they'd have to have a bigger pad or bigger facility to do so. So they are limited.
I know it's not practical or possible, but if we could, in an ideal world, we could jump the price of C&D up $7 a ton like we do in the MSW. I bet you a whole lot more and be going through your facility over there, but then you're limited on how much you can run through there on a given day. Okay, we ain't in a perfect world then. But
No, we're not, but, we'll say the diversion committee will be going to Chicago, and there's a large area up there where they do a lot of different things, and hopefully through looking at what they're doing, we can see about expanding that and working with that. So that's going to be going along in mind.
They don't have a
Good.
landfill, they don't have a choice.
That's right. They don't have a landfill. What they do, they get everything in and they get it out. And that's one reason that the diversion committee will be looking at that. They have a lot of different things and expanded things and different ways of doing that hopefully we can incorporate here.
what committee is that?
The diversion committee
Oh,
will be going to
diversion, yeah, okay.
Chicago.
Sorry.
Okay, on page 54, this is the, like I said, the monthly Charleston update. Again, like I said, you may see a little bit of changes in the expenses. As you can see, the tonnage that they sold for the month was 2,420.52 tons, which is about where they were last month. A little bit of an increase in the tonnage sold. The average price was up a little bit this month. It was $186.54 a ton, which is great. Brings the total revenue from the material sold to $451,532.65. As you can see, we actually did have to pay to Charleston $13,947.95 because that average price was above that base market value of $165. Of course, that's going to be changing, come July 1st, of course, with a new contract. And as you can see, the total MRF revenue for the month was $437,584.70. Their expenses were $561,645.72. So we did have expenses over revenue this month of $124,061.02. And they had some expenses this month. They had a belt that they had to replace that was right around $70,000, as well as some labor costs. They had some labor bills that they were kind of getting caught up on. They'd had a problem with the billing, and so that also compounded in this month as well. So that's what's got the expenses up a little bit. But year to date, revenue is still over expenses of $630,772.79. As you can see on the bottom, total rejects that were hauled to Charleston year to date, 5,424.97 tons. And the tonnage that was actually sent out of the county was 5,903.25 tons of material sent out. And I will have a final report now that we've kind of got the year closed out, hopefully this week, final report that I will present to the Finance Committee, as well as to INR on August 8th. So hopefully by then we'll have everything closed out and it'll be a good final report to present to you. Just wanted to let you know I have talked with the new county treasurer, talked to her about possibly attending our next Finance Committee meeting to kind of give us an update on where she sees our investments going, things that she may be interested in hearing from us. We're also going to go down, kind of do a meet and greet with her staff to kind of see. I know she's brought in a whole new group of people, so we kind of have a good contact with them as well. So she's excited about coming and meeting with the board. So, like I said, very, very positive response from her. Any questions?
I know you said she's coming to our board meeting. Did you say she would be coming to our finance?
She's going to come to the Finance Committee meeting. And if we want her to come to the board meeting, she will. But she's planning on coming to the next Finance Committee meeting. And once we get the committees established, we're going to try to get that set up right away.
I guess you'll announce those tonight. Yeah, okay.
All right, thank you.
Jen, one other point I would like to make on the MRF. I've heard so many people downtown talk about jobs, 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 and new industry. The MRF has pumped $2,100,000 into the workplace salaries this year. And the majority of that is local people. So we've helped the economy that much based on part-time work and headaches and beatings we've taken on the MRF, but that has, I think, helped the local economy a great deal. I'd put that salary up against a lot of the industry has come to town with a lot of drum beating and bugle playing and everything, so I think we've done well with it.
Yes, sir.
You talking about just the hands-on people was how much?
$2,100,000.
That is 2.1 million. That is a big number, and
And that's a real number. That's not something that you boast about in a board meeting or something like that. It's real. It's on the books. It's
well, it's what we pay out. I mean, it's just right there.
that's exactly right.
You're right, it is, and it's more than any of the industry to date that, as going to council, that I've seen bring in, and we didn't get any funds to do that with either. So I think we've done an excellent job as far as doing those jobs and leaving that money here in this county. Thank you, Jan, you've done an excellent job. Recycling and special reports.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I wanted to go over a few things at the MRF.
we sold, in the month of June, we sold about 1,400 tons of OCC at $193 a ton, which continues to go up. And this month, we sold cardboard for $242 a ton to domestic markets. In June, it was export, but most of it went to West Rock in Dublin, Georgia, at $242 a ton. Nobody can tell you how long the market's going to hold, but everybody says it can't stand what it is right now and continue for those prices. News, we sold 630 tons at $145 a ton in June, and this month we're selling it for $163 a ton. So it continued to go up. At the end of last month, we had almost 400 bales of fiber stacked everywhere that we did not sell in the month of June and couldn't get it out, or 300 tons of fiber that was left in inventory at the end of June. We have, I'm happy to say, as of this afternoon, we have one load left on the floor. So we pushed real hard to get it all out, and hopefully we can continue to get it out for the next week and a half, and we'll all be all right, and it won't be like it was the month prior. Prices come out on August the 4th this month, so we'll sell paper at this price until August the 4th, and then we'll switch over the following Monday to that. Also wanted to make you aware that we are recycling a little something different at the MRF. We are now recycling non-UBC aluminum, which is basically anything that's aluminum container that is not a beverage can, such as a cat can, aluminum foil, pie pans, those things. We found a market for it. We were actually putting it in our scrap metal and selling it for around $100 to $120 a ton, and we found a market for it for $400 a ton if we kept it separate. So it's going to take us a little while to get a load of it, but it was still better than selling it for $100 to $120 a ton. So we got it in the system, didn't have to add any additional employees. We still take it out, and all we have to do is bale it and stack it up. So we'll stack it till we get a tractor trailer load and sell it to a guy in Pennsylvania. So that's an additional market for there. I put a report in your board just to give you an idea of what's going on with China. If y'all saw it,
Yes.
it's definitely hurting the market. What's holding the market prices right now, as far as for fiber, is the domestic markets here locally in the United States. But we're having a problem since they did this that we can no longer sell scrap plastic and rigid plastic, which we mix together. We currently have 6 loads stacked everywhere and have nowhere to put it. So we have stopped separating it because we can no longer get rid of it. China doesn't take it, and the only mill on the East Coast is getting all they want for free. They actually said that they may be able to get rid of it if we was to pay them anywhere from $40 to $60 a ton to take it. So at that point in time, we made a decision to stop separating it out, and it will go to the landfill until such time as we can find another market for it.
This has become a larger problem. It was just released that 9 billion tons of plastic have been made since the beginning of creation of plastic, and half of it just in the last 13 years. And it began in 1938. So think about that time span, and just in the last 13 years, half of it. So it's on an explosive tide. I don't know what we're going to do with this plastic.
Yeah. We notified Charleston that we would no longer be separating it, and therefore their portion of it would be going back to them. Give you an example. Prior to Charleston, we were generating about 250 tons a year. Since we took Charleston in and started doing it, we were generating over 600 tons a year. So Charleston will be getting back about 400 additional tons in rejects until we sell it. I also asked them if they knew of a market. We've offered it for free to anybody that wants to take it, just to keep it out of the landfill. But currently we can't find anybody to take it even for free. So, and we've told Charleston if they know of a market, we'll gladly try to research that market, and we'd be happy to get any help we could, and we can start taking it back out.
And you say the reason is because nobody can, get it to go into China anymore,
That's right. China's not taking it.
because they determined it was hazardous to human health.
No, they determined based on the thing that, number one, they were getting a lot of bad products in it, and,
What?
bad products. It was contaminated real bad.
Oh.
So, you know, one bad apple spoiled a whole bunch. And that's pretty much what's happened. And there was a lot of things like textiles. They're not going to accept textiles anymore. So you got a lot of things going on in China, but there's an article there in my report. It's good reading material. If you want to take time to read it, and it tells you exactly what they're not taking anymore.
Thank you for pointing that out.
What's going to happen to us is, of course, Charleston said, well, we ain't going to take your 250 ton. So what'll happen is that we now will keep 14.51% rather than 14.5% of rejects. So, which will equate to about 250 tons a year.
Of ours,
Yes,
okay,
Going to them.
not theirs,
right, not theirs.
We teach downward, they'll get there.
okay.
So, and we have sent them all emails to that thing, and to date have not got a response. We'll see what kind of response they give to us. We talked on the phone, but we put it in writing to them. So, we got till, August 1st to start carrying all the rejects back. It's coming up next Tuesday. So we'll be hauling back about 50 to 55 tons a day back to Charleston. As Jan mentioned earlier, we did have some major belts that broke or got damaged last month. It was simple things that did it. Guy picked up a 2x4, dropped it on the reject line. It went through the belt, cut it in half. We had a pair of loppers that you lop limbs with. It came through the machine and fell into the belt and cut it in half, cut it like a knife. You have those kind of things, and you don't have a choice but just to replace them and buy them. So, and when you're talking belts at $15,000, $16,000 to $30,000 a piece, they get expensive. One of the belts was the length of the line. So it was the total length of the line.
When that was cut, it doesn't fly out to where it would hurt any of the employees there.
No.
We do have things that protect them from that.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any residual value to that?
Goes to the rejects, the belt, because there's no longer, I mean, if we got a belt that breaks and it's just a short piece, and we ain't got room enough, we'll splice it back together. But it cut these the total length of the thing. Before we found out about it, it had split it right down the middle, all the way down. So there was no way to put it back together. Lengthwise. Not right. There was nothing to do but to replace the belt. And those are things you just have to, when they happen, try to figure out a way not to make them happen again and move forward. I do want to thank the board for allowing us to put new ACs in the units. They are now working and cooling, zone cooling. They were operating as of last Friday, and we've been tweaking them all week to try to get them up to par and make sure they're working right. The temperatures in the room, like today, it's a hot day, stayed about 80 degrees with a humidity rating of about 56%. But where they were standing at was getting 55 to 60 degree temperature right over the top of their head. So not only did the rooms feel cool when you walked into them, I know if it's in there working, they don't feel as cool, but that air is blowing right on the top of them. Had some people early in the morning complaining about being too cold. So we hope that makes the workforce want to work a little longer and work a little harder.
I know you're a country boy, but Dog Day's starting in a couple of days,
That's right.
all the way to Labor Day.
Feeling
Yeah.
it for 60 days.
Yeah.
60.
The last 60 days, it's been hot.
Yeah.
I read the Farmer's Almanac, they say it goes to the first, no, I'm just kidding.
Also, as y'all aware, we withheld payment on the floor and paid half of it. The floor has performed well since they come out and worked on it. However, we notified them about 2 weeks ago that unless we had some kind of guarantee or an extended warranty during the bid process, and it just wasn't them, the other company did it as well, they guaranteed it for 1 year. But we told them that we weren't going to release any money until we got some kind of extended warranty. We met with them earlier, was it this week, Danny, or last? I don't remember. Last week. Yeah, we met with them last week, and they have given us 3.5 years of warranty, and we've agreed to finish paying them. I wanted to make sure the board was aware of it before we wrote the check. So we think by holding the money, this company is not some fly-by-night company. They do all the MRFs, transfer stations, and everything in West Palm Beach, Florida, and they have a lot of good references. So and they've been in business for 35 years. But you know, so we think by getting 3.5 years of warranty, we'll be okay. And Danny, if you got any, your board member.
Did they ever give you any idea what caused the problem?
They're not for sure what caused it. Our goal here was to make sure that if it did it again, that they had to come in and fix it. Now, there is a 5-year warranty on material. If we start having a problem with too much of it wearing off, there is a full 5-year warranty on that. If it don't wear properly or it starts giving away, they're covering anything that causes it to laminate from the existing floor and come up. They will.
But that was the initial warranty, right? The
the initial warranty on the material was 5 years.
5 years.
Right, and the workmanship of it was 1 year.
And it has now moved to 3.5 years.
3.5 years.
That's 3 times long.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate
Yeah,
your help.
thank you for pressing.
Yeah, I would like to commend you on doing that and not paying until that was done and looking at it, and then getting that much more warranty after we'd already had a bid and already had a contract. I thought that's excellent work. Thank you.
Yeah, they didn't like talking to me anymore. They wanted Danny to come out so they can talk to him.
Made me feel important.
The other thing is, since China is not taking certain things, and that there's things now that we have here and different things like the shingles throughout this last year that we no longer, people don't pick up or we don't recycle, I'd like to have a list of all of the things that we cannot or not doing anymore as we go to these diversion, new techniques, and look at what other people are doing into these conventions. I'd like to have a list of that and an explanation of those plastics so that we can keep that in mind and try to keep an eye out for different things that might help with that.
Every buyer that has bought material from us in the last 12 months, we notified them that we had the material that we would give away for free, and nobody wanted it.
Well, as we look at that list too, we have added refused to our reduce, reuse, and recycle, and we may need to educate the public on things they need to refuse to buy,
Yeah.
and that might help us tremendously.
That's gonna be the thing.
Recycling will need to be looking at that and working with the public on that. So I think we need the list, and we probably need an explanation of what particular plastics you're talking about so that we can know as we get ready to give out any more educational information.
Some of the buyers, and one buyer that came to me today feels like, and this is not the first time it's ever happened with scrap plastic. We've had this issue with it before. So it's not the first time. But some of the buyers think that it's because the Trump administration and China is at an export-import discussion, and some of these things with sword is got to do with that. And if ever that gets settled, somebody will give up and they will start taking it back. May have some more, stringent guidelines, restrictions on the product, but we'll be able to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Executive Director.
Thank you, ma'am. My list is on page 74, and listed in it is the new reappointment of Ms. Creech and the
Congratulations.
appointment of Mr. Sam Johnson. And if you want to speak to our visit with him.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, Sam Johnson was appointed at the last council meeting. He would have been here tonight, but he already had his vacation scheduled, so he wanted to go ahead and do that before he started. We invited him to come out last week, and Mr. Knight and I and Mr. Campbell met with him, gave him a landfill tour, answered all of his questions. He was very excited about starting to work, and in his business with landscaping and working with different soils and whatever, I think he will be a good asset. And I'm sure all of you will be thrilled to meet him at our next meeting.
Okay, the next is page 77, talking about travel. On July 10th and 11th, Mike and Richie and I flew to Boston one afternoon, went through a MRF and looked at some equipment that a equipment manufacturer said thought that it would work well. And that night after the visit, I told our guys, I think sometimes we too hard on ourselves based on our facilities and what we're getting done. And we pulled up in the parking lot, and the parking lot at the MRF smelled a lot worse than I've ever smelled this landfill. And the equipment that we were thinking would be something we'd use in the future, we think there's a better option there. So we've learned, you know, when you go on these trips, you learn things that you would like to do, and you learn things that you're already doing better, and you learn things that you don't go there. And if our OSHA had gone in that place, I just don't know what they would have done about clean. We're very clean. Materials clean. They said they took pride in their glass. Our old wore-out machine, I think, is doing a better job on the glass than theirs. And they got a vacuum system that pulls the paper out and blows it and everything. But I was kind of disappointed in that site, but I was extremely happy with ours based on what we saw. August 14th through the 17th, I think that's going to be I've been looking forward to this trip for a long time after reading about Lakeshore Recycling, and they own 4 or 5 MRFs, C&D, recycling, composting. They do it all, and they take pride in their statement, we don't own a landfill. So we believe in taking everything out of the waste stream. And they've got something like 30% of the waste collections in Chicago, thereabouts. So we're really looking forward to that trip and learning as much from them as we possibly can.
Danny, have you already made your, I mentioned to you, my son-in-law lives up there, and I really haven't done anything. You already got all this worked out, or you want to talk to him?
Pretty much, but I'd still like to talk to him, tell him we come in and we'd like to meet him if there's any way possible, if we're in some sort of an area where I'd still like to talk to him,
Okay,
if possible.
will do.
September the 25th through the 27th, we'll be in Baltimore at the Nationals. And I think what that list that you were talking about, Ms. Creech, is a list that when you go to these conventions, people's always saying, well, we can do this and we can do that, and will you take plastic buckets? And we have picked up in some of the conventions some material that we could market. So I think that list will be helpful in that situation, but we will be going to Baltimore the 25th through the 27th. And Thursday we'll be driving up to Nag's Head, and I didn't realize it was that far till we started looking, and, but it's put on by the recycling, group, association, and it's, you know, it's talking about plastic bags and film, and all I can say is bags, bags, bags. And we'll be talking or listening to people about the coastal situations, and I think it'll be very educational. And we'll be in that Friday to probably midday, and then we'll be coming back. But we'll certainly make a report on all these trips when we get back. Boston was very eye-opening to me, and it was a big company that owned it, big organization, and I'm really more impressed with our crowd every time I go visit something. We do a good job.
Were they a union shop?
Sir?
Were they a union shop?
No, but they use temp labor, and most of it is Latin American people, and they were, that was what I was most impressed about, their temp labor. We asked them about the marketing, but the company is so big, the national offices handles all the marketing and everything. All that guy does is separate it out and bail it up. The truck shows up and they load it, and he don't know much more where it's going or what it is, anything. So,
But they handle 30% of
Lake-
all the waste.
Lakeside, that's what they say. But you can Google them. They're pretty sharp.
I get Boston, that's on Boston.
No, this is
Chicago.
Chicago, Lakeside. Boston was the one that we went to look at the equipment in the MRF and to see how it worked and what we thought about future use on the expansions that we looking at doing.
So you went to Chicago for one thing, but we're going back. I'm sorry, I'm getting mixed up.
We went to Boston for a specific look at the equipment,
Okay.
and we're going to Chicago to look at the whole system that they got. I told them I wanted to go see their oldest MRF, and I wanted to see the newest MRF to get an idea on how they're working an old one, what the new one looks like with all the bells and whistles. I wanted to see their composting, wanted to see how they market, how they work their labor. So that's going to be a very educational trip for us.
And which cities is it that, where they recycle 30%?
No, they have 30% of the collection in, they recycle, they say they recycle, what, 75%, I believe, of everything that goes through their system. But they've got 30% of the whole market
Of
on
recycling.
collection, on all kind of collection. C&D, they got green boxes, they Porta Johns, they street sweeping. They cover it all.
And that was in what?
Chicago.
So, I wonder what the land fees up there must be something else.
Well, when I told him what our tipping fees was, the first thing he said is, why in the world they so cheap?
That's what I'm saying, there's a lot of negative incentive for them to
That's right.
recycle as much as they do.
We'll be able to pull that information, and I'm looking forward to that.
I'm
trip.
sure you'll make hay of that. Eventually, our area will become like their area and, at some point in time, and so that's why MRFs are important.
And I think where they are today, we'll be looking at being at that position in 20 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, so that's hopefully what I hope to gain in Chicago.
And we ain't got no place to take it in terms of burying it anywhere.
Either, that's right. Yeah. think that's,
Did you get a response from Charleston?
yes, sir, and that's on page, let's see,
78?
78, that's right. Ask them for schedules and timeframes and where they stand, and in that top sentence is the information.
That was the detailed reports you got back?
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. But I think, they said building's underway and the purchase order's been issued for the equipment. So,
That's the kind you wrote when you took your graduate degree at Clemson, isn't it? Here's my report, I'm gonna shoot the paper.
That's in Clemson board.
I know it. It was tough getting through there.
and I guess that's,
Storm debris contract update.
yeah, we, in talking with the county about storm debris, they didn't have time enough to bid it and have the bid documents, in line, so we've agreed to extend the contract, which is, you can do it under the agreement, and we've agreed to extend it for 1 year. We even tried to talk about transfer the contract to the county, but FEMA wasn't, the feds didn't like that because it was our purchasing agreement, and it's different from the counties, and it got bigger and bigger, so we just agreed to extend it for a year and give them time to get all the stuff in order.
And what contract is this?
It's, who is the contract? Phillips and Jordan, and.
Oh, that's on the stormwater?
Storm
okay.
debris, yeah. And then Tetra Tech is the monitoring group. So we'll be under that contract a year. I think everything's been, we've been reimbursed for everything on the storm. I think the county is still using them maybe on the watershed.
Doing some
Cleaning it.
stormwater work.
Yeah, getting trees and stuff off the watershed and bigger ditches and stuff like that, so.
I asked this question last month, but I hope we will be getting a full report on all of the activities, so that all the parties are looking at critically at the performance.
Yes, sir.
To see what we could do better and to see who should be doing it in the future.
Well, we've got some great ideas on what to do and who to use and how to look at.
And the reason I'm bringing it up, I want to see that documented, so that it can be shared.
Yeah.
That information can be shared.
Okay. Is that it?
I believe that was your last item.
Okay.
So we don't have any committee reports. The committees did not meet. Do we have any old business? Does anyone have any old business they want to discuss?
Change the board meeting in September.
Okay. The next thing then are committee appointments. Those have been made, and if you'll pass that around, that has everyone's name and the committee that they will be on. There's going to be a lot of looking. Last year, we did not go on any diversion trips. That is very important. This year, we're going to be going on a few. We're going to be looking, some of the staff will be going to look and see exactly how things are done in some of these locations. We're going to be looking at new equipment, and we're going to be looking at a plan for the future. And that's going to be a pretty intricate plan, because we're going to be looking at every facet of what we do here. We're going to be looking at the finances, the recycling, diversion committee, and everything that we do. We're going to be looking at those things. So the committee meetings and what we're going to be doing in this coming year to plan for the future is going to be very important. So if you need to keep these, keep them in mind, because these committees are going to meet. We're going to be doing research, we're going to be doing a lot of talking, and I'm sure everyone here will have a lot of input for that to come forward. September board meeting, we're gonna need to change that because of a convention. I think Esther had sent around September the 19th on a Tuesday. I had not seen anyone that could not make that. I think I'd seen most everyone send back an email. Is there going to be a problem with that date with anyone?
Just want to be sure I wrote
Sir?
it down. September what?
September the 19th.
Council meets that night.
That's a bad thing, but council does not have us on the agenda, so I guess we'll just, I did bring that up, but since they don't have us on the agenda, and we need to meet before, later on there, that's what we're gonna do.
Our meeting next, or anyway, September's on the 19th, right?
It will be on the 19th.
Okay.
Okay, not the last Tuesday, but it will be on September the 19th.
Okay.
And Esther will be sending out reminders just so everybody, even though we have it on our calendar, will be updated on that. Okay, is there any roundtable discussion? Anything anyone has for discussion for the group? Okay, we did have an executive session, but our lawyer had to be somewhere else tonight. So it was a legal briefing on a pending litigation matter. That has been canceled, and that will come up at our next meeting. Okay? Do we have, unless there's anything else or discussion, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance.
Thank you.